Focus. Click the links to alternative video platforms or to join the channel, become a member, get access to other rooms, or support the channel, coffee or crypto. Before I get into this is 12 issues of some stupid comic book, and it wasn't canceled. It was only supposed to go 12 issues. Okay, whatever. The point is, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed character is for like 6 issues, she's the bad guy in like 6 issues, and the good guys are this multicultural group of purse puppies. And I guess they're going for like Japanese cartoon light version. So let me just scroll through this, and you see if you notice anything unusual in this. If you take a look at this scene here, does anything click for you? Just another scene of people eating food. I guess, it's funny. I saw this scene and I immediately wanted to go eat House of Ice Cream. So she's really getting a lot of mileage out of that orange creamsicle. And then, of course, the final scene, she finally finishes it off. Was that a little weird for everyone? I mean, this character's under 18, right? And that seemed a little weird to me. I don't know if that was like the Disney used to put images like that in their cartoons. That's the first one that got my attention. The 2 kids who I'm not exactly sure the ages. I'm assuming they're under 18. It struck me as a little bit off. I look at that and think, I wouldn't put that in a comic book. I would have had them hold it a little bit different. Hold it as a prop, that's fine, but you go through, it's Champions number 10. You go scroll through it yourself and tell me if I'm just crazy talk here. I don't know. Okay, this is what I wanted to talk about. So, identity politics at Disney. No excrement. How do you take the most insufferable character and think that you're going to make a show that people will watch? Some shows are not meant really to be watched. They're background filler material. That, I assume, is the point of this show. It just kind of fills the bookshelf to give you the illusion of choice, but then when you walk up to it and you look at the books and you think, I'm going to get some, like Huckleberry Finn and Mark Twain and Moby Dick and all the classics. I can only name 3 classics. It shows the limit. Much of my knowledge. What do they say about Terry Pratchett? Said something like his knowledge is limited to the Bible and Shakespeare, which is about, like, if you don't know where a quote is coming from, that's about 50% of the quotes. Anyway, you walk up to the bookshelf and you see that all the other books are just I don't know, like Italian cookbooks written in Italian. You're like, this doesn't do me a whole lot of good. That, I assume, is the point of a show like this. It's just to fill out the illusion of choice. It's like art in hotel rooms. But I will say that usually art in Hawaiian hotels is better than most because it's like local scenes get in focus of, like, I don't know, hibiscus and things like that. So it sets a certain tone that it does a little bit more successfully than like somewhere in Las Vegas. It's like the art in the Vegas hotel might as well just be like something you can chop lines on. Where's I going with this? The line that we're talking about is she says that brown girls like her don't usually save the city. Keep in mind, this is the character, which looks like if you put a gun to my head and said design a costume, this is what I would come up with. So let's analyze that statement. First, she's a character from a warm, sandy place with camels, which is like a tiny percentage of the country. Mexicans are a huge chunk of the country, except they are invisible in comic books. You get like 30 to 40% Mexican Americans, and they are invisible in comic books. My theory is, and hear me out, because mainstream comics hate Mexicans. And I use that as inclusive for all Spanish people, which drives Central Americans crazy, but I also know that they're not listening. You know, it almost looks like they 3D printed a costume. Like, I mean, it looks like you took, I don't know what you did, like plates of cardboard, just layered them together and just paint them. Anyway, so Kamala Khan is like, where she's from is like 2% or less of the nation, America, but they're trying to push her as a major character. Why not Mexican, Irish, German, Polish, English? Those are the other big groups in America. Where is the love for them? Pushing this, I'll say, Kekistani character from the, Stani regions in place of all these other groups is insulting. Do the Russians not also deserve representation? Why specifically this Kekistani group that is such a small group in America? Is it because when they write such a crappy character, and we point out that Kamala Khan is feathers written by a developmentally disabled person, which is what they want. I suspect this whole thing is to draw fire for the point of them saying, oh, look how istophobic they are. They reject a Kekistani pox purse puppy. They must be istophobic. Look at them in their Hugo Boss and Volkswagens. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter if the characters are Martians or aliens from the Hollow Earth crab people or the reptilians or whatever. Whatever characters they write will suck donkey stones. All they can do is hammer. If you put Irish or Chinese in their hands, they will bang it like a hammer. To mix metaphors a little bit, they're going to grind the axe till the cows come home and then spike the ball in the end zone like they did something fantastic. It's like, what is that meme? Bancroft did a video about you get first, third, second, and third at the Olympics, and those people are just like standing calmly, but the guy comic skate off in like fourth place is celebrating and drinking the girl and like drinking champagne. That's them, basically. Anything they're given, they're going to snuggle it to departure of this mortal coil with wokeness. It doesn't quite work when I don't say they're going to rape it to death with wokeness. That line just comes off naturally, and I just can't speak the way I want to speak because YouTube is bundles of sticks. So the only characters they can deal with are blonde-haired, blue-eyed World War II German stand-ins, the ultimate Ubermensch person of the light, and pox purse puppy BLTs. Light versus darkness, that is all they can deal with. Nuance escapes them totally. I could write better comics than these people, and I suspect that half of the people in Comicsgate could write better. Who's that Angleteen? He's got a channel. He used to call I Love Comics, and he changed his channel name, which is like death to a channel. He could write comics, and all the guests he has. Eric Breen, I think, is a guy on his show. Nerdette, all these people these comic book dorks who really love comics and probably are very sad to see them destroyed over the past 2 decades. You could just hire any one of these people for like a very reasonable amount of money. I'm not even talking about these big channel people, because they're too busy to take a job writing comics. I mean, you could literally take Angleteen and the crowd he works with and give him a half a dozen things and go, hey, okay, take these small ancillary characters, the B-side comics. If you can beat, you get 6 months. If you can beat the old sales, then I don't know, the job is yours. There's like, obviously they're not doing that because they're in a post-profit business model, which sounds insane, but it doesn't sound as insane as it did 5 years ago. You hear that phrase post-profit, you think, oh, what kind of exaggeration is that? Companies have to profit. Not when they're being subsidized, they don't. That's the magic of being subsidized. She looks like a fat little Kyle. That is a horrible costume. That costume looks cheap, and this is Disney, and it does look 3D printed. What a boon the 3D printer is. It just better stop there. So there are many ways to introduce this Kekistani character into a comic. Something like, I'm excited to be joining the team, and we're going to have a great time. But she immediately frames it as she's a brown girl doing something for the first time. Why on earth would you say something so divisive? Especially at a time like now, current year, with all the stuff that's going on. Oh, come on, chillin'. If it don't apply, then let it fly. There is no way her statement is anything other than antagonistic. She's Kekistani. That is 1% of the population. Yes, the odds are good that there are not too many people like her in these positions. It's going to be the first time because you're a fraction of a group of the country. Why would she say it? It sounds like, obviously, it's meant to sound like an FU to whoever is reading the comic. Now, let's keep in mind that we're talking about comic books written by far-left whack jobs. If people who look like her aren't in comics enough, then you got comic book pussies blaming comic book pussies for not being woke enough. These people are assholes. Is this a case of modern woke assholes blaming the greats that came before them for not being woke enough? You're saying a bunch of far left East Coast Jewish writers weren't far left enough? You'll never be far left enough. They will always eat their own. The new left wing eats the old left. They seem to think that the woke will stop with them. And let me ask this. Why isn't Kamala trans in a BLT relationship with a black guy? Are you BLT inclusive and pro the blacks? Or are you literally the Austrian landscape painter, who actually was pretty good? I like his stuff a lot. This is performative wokeness. Christians, conservatives, nationalists, English, German, whatever, are not welcome. Blonde hair, blue-eyed is almost always going to be the bad guys. Why not make the blue-eyed folk the good guys and people like Kamala the bad guys? I mean, just, for a couple of issues, or maybe a comic. Why not flip things on their head a little bit? Here's the thing. People are getting tired of folks with an X, glass houses, throwing stones. It's like Joy Reid was wondering why people in her position didn't cover missing pox people. People in her position on the media. She was wondering why the media, people like her, didn't cover missing people when it wasn't blonde hair, blue-eyed people of the light. She's on MSNBC. She literally asked that. It's like, is that Dunning-Kruger effect? Are you cognitively impaired? Do you have heavy metal poisoning? Are you do you have chemical dependency issues? There's clearly a cognitive issue. If you're sitting behind a $50,000 camera in $1 million plus studio saying, why don't people like me report on POC missing persons? Are you kidding me? Is this a grand joke? It feels like the guy comes out to the theater in France or something, and the clown comes out and he's, hey, the theater's on fire. Please evacuate. Exits to the rear. Be calm. And they laughed, and it's like, oh, well, then they smelled smoke and they weren't laughing. It's insane, right? I mean, all this is insane. This is all just clown world. I mean, white rice and Liberty devices and your 3D printers. Those 3D printers are amazing. I'm not exactly sure. I don't think... Well, I won't get into that. Hey, look. Kamala Khan, a brown character that nobody wants and is written by idiots. Okay, what are we supposed to do with this character? It's like 1% of the population. People want to see themselves in stories. And the second part is, in America, who is your audience? Not who you want to be your audience, but who you actually got. Who has money in their hand and who is ready? Is it these Kekistani people, or is it more along the lines of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed type? Don't get me wrong. If you got a bunch of black kids who are showing up and saying, oh, yeah, we like comics, but we want to see more that vampire fighting guy and Luke Cage. I'm like, okay, well, if you have money in your hand, the only color we're primarily concerned about is going to be green. If there's a dog you smell. If there's a black audience, then give them what they want. And there is a little bit of a black audience. All the black guys I know read comic books, but because they're dorks. A Kekistani audience, that doesn't exist. Not in America. Just because the numbers are too small. There's just not enough numbers to support that. Say, oh, well, people should want to... Why does she have a scarf around her neck? That would just rip her head right off. It would get caught on anything. It's like, it's not a cape. It's a scarf. And who's the other character? Captain Marvel has also got like weird scarves, belts. They're like a scarf around her. It's stupid. It's like, give her a cape. Just go all the way. These are comic book characters. They're not realistic. You can give her a cape. You could dress her in a clown suit. It doesn't matter. Nobody wants what she's offering. Oh, she can make her body parts bigger. And she's wearing tights and a dress because she's Kekistani. Oh, there's so many things I could say. It's like when I finally get kicked off YouTube, I will miss YouTube when I go. I think, like, will I do these videos for Odysee? Probably not, because it's really not the audience. But like, if I could just say so much more. It'd be funny. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.